Well, of course it's not over. What happened was, I relocated. So I'm not in Pittsburgh anymore, I've moved to a new house. And one of the conundrums I have that happened after I moved is I bought this house with the expectation that I would have a studio in a particular room. Well, it turns out once you actually move in and you see trains going by. Bye, train. I live near a train now. I went from a busy road to a train. One of the conundrums I have is the house I bought, I had intended to have one particular room be my new studio. But once you move in, you realize, oh, for whatever reason, that's not going to work anymore. So I'm actually going to put my studio down in the basement of my new house. The problem is, my whisper room is too tall for the basement. Oh no. So I have to figure out what to do in that case. So you're going to see I've got my whisper room set up in my living room. My wife, not happy, really super not happy about that. So I got to figure something out. So my whisper room is too big for my new studio. One thing, I spoke with Whisper Room, we went back and forth, they really tried to work with me. Turns out they just don't make a whisper room that is low enough, short enough to fit in my new basement room, which is 6'7" is my height restriction. So that's something I'm going to figure out. So I'll show you what I have right now, my current setup, and I'll show you the room that it's going to be in. So if you're interested, come along, take a look. And so I still need to be a working voice actor. So I still need the whisper room until I can get the studio set up downstairs in a way that works and is professional sounding. I need to continue with the booth. So even though you saw me take it down in that other video, and I discarded all of the existing acoustic treatment in there because it comes apart and it doesn't move particularly well, and I didn't want the movers to have to deal with that dust, and I didn't want to package it up. So anyway, I just threw it all away, and I had to rebuy it again. So I'm in the process of re-insulating my booth because I have to work tomorrow night, so I got to get that put back together. I get this stuff from ATS Acoustics. That's where I've gotten it from each time that I've re-insulated this booth, and so not a plug. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. But I do like the way they package and send the product. The price is what the price is. I haven't found anything to be appreciably different from different manufacturers. But ATS Acoustics, they'll ship it right to your door, and it takes 8 panels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 panels. 8 panels. And so let me just walk you around the basement a little bit here. This potential studio that I'm working with, or not potential, this is going to be the studio. We just have to make it work. It's about 10 feet by 15 feet. It's essentially half the footprint of the house. This paneling, for lack of a better word, I think they reclaimed some old barn, tongue and groove barn board. I don't know if it's going to stay or not. I do know from behind there, I'll show you over here. I do know that behind, because these were loose, it's just bare concrete. There's no acoustic insulation. There's no any kind of insulation in there at all. So that's probably going to need to get rectified just from an acoustics perspective, so that when I use this as my control room, I'll have to deal with it. Now, the ceiling is also untreated. These are just open rafters. You really can't soundproof, but what you can do is you can improve the acoustics of the space, we hope, by including some insulation up inside these rafters. And so I'm going to try and figure out what insulation is the right insulation to use, for one, budget, and two, for acoustics. And hopefully to try and attenuate a little bit any noise that comes down from upstairs. it's not going to be soundproof by any stretch. That's not what the purpose of it is. But if it does attenuate some of the footsteps or anything that's happening upstairs, so much the better. There are 2 windows down here. The first one is where the booth is going to be, where actually the booth is going to be, and it's black. It's been boarded over. It's not visible from the outside. I think they filled the well with dirt. I'm not sure exactly, but I figure that this corner will be a little bit better from a soundproofing perspective, because this very little sound comes through this window. Now, there is another window. Here, I'll come over this side. There's another window down here, and this one is open to outside light. It's really dirty right now. It's actually just under a garden. It's single pane, so sound will get through there. I may end up putting insulation. I may end up boarding it over. I'm not really sure at this point, but I probably will have to do something with that window. Another decision that the previous owners made, and they just used this as storage. So far as I know, maybe they were going to make it into a rec room or something, and it never came to fruition. But they, for some reason, halfway mounted in between the 2 rooms a dehumidifier. Now, so far, it has never kicked on. There's no evidence of any moisture or high humidity or anything down here. It's a very dry basement, very lucky from that perspective. But I will have to do something with this area so that there isn't this pass-through to the other room. I'll probably move it and just dehumidify that section, and then watch how the humidity is over here. And if I have to, move it or rearrange it in some way, I will. But so far, there hasn't been a humidity problem. We'll see what happens when it gets muggier later in the summer. So in August, that's when it might become a thing. And if I have to dehumidify over here, we'll rearrange this. But I do want to block this wall off so that the utilities, any noise from the utilities, doesn't come through. And that may mean putting some more mineral wool or something in these studs on the other side here, and maybe using some spare barn board or whatever, and close this off. Not really sure. One concern I definitely have down here is the lights. The lights they're basement style lights, and so they're bulbs that just hang down. There's actually 2 different circuits down here. This one's on a pull chain, and that is on a light switch. But they're just bare incandescent bulbs at the moment that come down. One, not terribly energy efficient. And I'm not tall, I'm only about 5'10", so I have a little bit of clearance above this light. But if I have any other actors down here, any guests down here that are over 6.5 feet tall, or over 6'3", say, they run a real risk of injuring themselves on the light, getting electrocuted, cutting their forehead. So one of the things I definitely need to address is the electrical down here, and see if I can do some recessed lighting. And I'd like to do something that is more energy efficient, certainly going to LEDs or something like that, to see if I can keep it nice and bright down here, because I'll need it bright, but also so it's more energy efficient and not so dangerous. One thing that is pretty lucky is there is plenty of electrical down here. I haven't listened to it, so I hope that the electrical sounds good, that it isn't really noisy electrical that I'll need to address. Maybe as part of the electrician coming down here and looking at the lights, we'll see if there's anything we can learn about the electricity down here. It seems to be its own dedicated circuit that just serves this room, so I hope that will help me not having noisy or bad power that if the refrigerator comes on, it affects the quality of my sound by lowering the voltage or anything like that. And also to try and attenuate any sort of ground loops, anything like that. Having things all on one circuit, even out of the same plug, is certainly helpful. So having enough electricity down here was super helpful. Because this is a working basement, I do have a lot of sort of house infrastructure down here, and it's just going to stay. So we have gas lines, we've got water lines, we've got electrical, and this is sort of one of the common runs through the house. Happens to be on my side of the basement. It's going to stay. Maybe I'll paint it. I don't know. It's probably just going to stay like that. It all depends on what happens with the ceiling. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen with the ceiling yet. And how's this for weird? There's a fake fireplace down here. Fake in that it doesn't have a flue. It's not a real fireplace. There is a hole under there about that big, I'm not sure. The previous owner didn't know what this was for. Anybody know? An old house? This is a house from late 20s, early 30s, something like that. Anybody know why you don't have a fireplace down here? Either way, it's not going to have fire in it. It may be the place where I have to put a space heater. I don't know what this place is going to be like. This is an unheated, uncooled basement. It's just basement. So it may end up housing one of those fake fireplaces in there just to have some warmth down here. We'll see how it goes. But hey, I've got a fireplace in my studio. And I also have a highly reflective brick wall. Not sure what that's going to do from an acoustics perspective. We'll see. We'll see if I need to treat it in any way, if I can leave it decorative. We'll see. Don't know. And so, I hope you enjoyed that basement tour. I know it's not much to see right now. I'm sorry I was gone for 8 weeks, however long I was gone. But between packing a house, relocating, and get a new house unpacked, I'm sorry. I couldn't also make videos. I'm so sorry about that. I should have banked a few. But either way, now the booth is set up upstairs in my living room, so I'll be back to doing some microphone comparisons and so forth. But you also see my situation. I need a new booth. I need some kind of new booth, whether it's going to be a build or a buy. I don't know. So I'm going to have to go out and probably talk to some people that make vocal booths. It's too bad about Whisper. They were really good in trying to accommodate what I was looking for. Just turns out they don't have anything. No big deal. We'll figure something out. My marching orders now are to identify the people that make booths, give them a shout, see if they make something that fits for me, figure out the electrical situation. I got to fix those lights, get something down there, and try and make it comfortable. I don't know what it's going to turn out to be. I hadn't expected it to be in this room. I had a whole different thing planned for what this house was going to be. Just didn't work out, and I didn't discover it until I got the keys and I really started to try and set up my room. No big deal. But that's where it stands right now. I'll be back to making I have a number of microphones that have come in, so I'll be doing some microphone comparison videos here real soon. But that's it. That's where things stand at the moment. Thanks so much for sticking with me. Sorry about that break. Now, go get yourself a microphone. Any microphone. End up in your basement, your bedroom, wherever you are that you can just get in there and just record something amazing. Thanks.